Alright, this is my cultural analysis project on the movie The Freedom Riders. And my name is Omar Ledesma, and this is for my communication studies class on race, ethnicity, and media. So let's get it started. We're gonna first review the trailer of the movie. So here we go.
In Long Beach, it all comes down to what you look like. It's all about color. If you're Latino or Asian or black, you could get blasted anytime you walk out your door. Settle down. My name is Aaron Gruel. Schools are divided into separate tribes. I'm not sitting near him.
I can't go back there alone.
Man, I know you ain't talking to me.
We kill each other over race, pride, and respect. We fight for our America. So what you're saying is, if the Latinos weren't here, or the Cambodians, or the blacks, or the whites, or whoever they are, if they weren't here, everything would be better for you.
Lady, stop acting like you're trying to understand our situation.
Why don't you explain it to me?
We in a war.
You're a first-time teacher. You can't make someone want an education. Listen to me, all of you. Stand on the line if you've lost a friend to gang violence. Stay on the line if you've lost more than one friend. 3, 4 or more. From this moment on, the person you were, that person's turn is over.
I got a dream.
Everyone has their own story. We're gonna write in these journals. There's no place like this out there for us. I can't go back to the way it used to be.
Need you. Nah, man, I can't.
Nobody listens to a teenager, and they don't see the wars we fight every day.
Sit there till the police came. And I heard gunshots.
She told us we had something to say to people.
My dream is to be free. My dream is to be. My dream is to be. My dream is to be free.
With watching the trailer, you can already get a sense of what the movie is about. Racial differences is the center point of this movie and ultimately affects the way each of these students live their lives. Here you have Hilary Swank, who's an Academy Award winner, who plays Aaron Gruel in the Freedom Riders. And to your right, you have the real life Aaron Gruel. And in the next slide, we're going to give a quick overview of the movie. Ms. Gruel began student teaching in 1994 at Woodrow Wilson High School in Long Beach, California. She was assigned low-performing students in the school, and she basically got her students at random because they were generated by IDs, and she basically got whatever students that she got. Gruel changed the theme of her curriculum to tolerance. She took the students to see Schindler's List, brought new books of her own pocket, and invited guest speakers. Another thing was that she had no help from her fellow coworkers. The other teachers did not help her with these students whatsoever. Knowing how tough it was to teach these students, they had nothing. They didn't want nothing to do with them. They really thought these kids had no meaning to life and couldn't amount to nothing. But Erin Gruel, she thought differently and basically tried to make the teaching experience the best that she could for these students. So she put a lot of her own time and money into them. And after a year of student teaching, Gruel returned to Wilson as a full-time teacher, this time with a class of sophomores. Her fall semester got out to a rocky start due to, protests, but Gruel preserved in reaching her students by asking them to keep journals and make movies of their lives, and by relating the family feud in Romeo and Juliet to a gang war, like pretty much what they were living and going through. She also had the students read books written by and about other teenagers in the time before, such as The Diary of a Young Girl and Leda's Diary at Night. So she really used education as something to really reach these students with. And with writing journals, it became a solace for many of the students, and because the journals were shared anonymously, teenagers who once refused to speak to someone of a different race became like a family. In the fall of 1995, Gruel gave each of her students a big bag full of new books and had then make a toast for change, which we'll touch upon later on in the presentation. And after that, she saw a turnaround in them. The students went on to surprise everyone, including all the other teachers in the high school, and all 150 freedom riders graduated from high school and went on to attend college. And in the next slide, it's going to be a brief clip of Eden Gruelle during an interview, and she briefly explains how she got the class that she got, and goes over the type of students that she had to teach. So, go.
When I first started at Wilson, I had a fate that many teachers have, which is you don't have seniority and you don't have tenure. So I was given students that traditionally most teachers who are seasoned and have some kind of authority at the school don't want to teach. So my first year as a student teacher, I had this hodgepodge of students who, many of whom were disciplinary transfers. Some of them had been in rehab. Some of them had learning disabilities or social emotional problems, and students who were not essentially destined to go to college. They had scored really low on their standardized test. And when I had my first year of teaching, I was given freshmen, and freshmen who were problematic from their middle school or elementary school days. So kids who had been bused from school to school, kids whose parents predominantly didn't come to PTA meetings or back to school nights, kids who were not destined to go to college. And that first year of students essentially became the Freedom Riders.
Ms. Gruelle's classroom of race. Her classroom was predominantly full of Black, Asian, Hispanic, and white kids. Like in the trailer, racial groups were considered tribes and did not like one another whatsoever. The reason being for all the gang violence and shootings that went on. The line game. The game was simple. There was a line in the middle, and then you have someone asking a question. And if that question relates to you, you would have to step towards the line. Despite racial differences in the class, the game was meant to show the many similarities the students had with one another, showing them that they weren't so different after all. I'm going to show you a brief clip of the game, and we're going to start at 1.
Next question. How many of you have seen Boys in the Hood? Okay, next question. How many of you live in the projects? How many of you know someone, a friend or relative, who was or is in juvenile hall or jail? How many of you have been in juvenile hall or jail for any length of time? Does the refugee camp count? You decide. How many of you know where to get drugs right now? How many of you know someone in a gang? How many of you are gang members? Okay, that was a stupid question, wasn't it? Not allowed gang affiliations in school. I apologize for asking, my badness. Okay, now I'm going to ask you a more serious question. Stand on the line if you've lost a friend to gang violence. Stay on the line if you've lost more than one friend. 3. 2.
Here you can see it was a basically a huge moment in the movie because now these students and they finally realize how much they have in common and how most of them genuinely share the same type of pain. Here's an example of racial stereotypes. One of the characters in the movies was asked about the black people's perspective on the book The Color Purple, and she wasn't asked about her own perspective. She responded with, "Do I have a sign on my forehead that says the national spokesperson for the black people? How the hell am I supposed to know the black perspective on The Color Purple?" Because of her skin tone, she was thought to speak for every African American in the world about the perspective, which is wrong. Although she made a small joke of it considering herself as the spokesperson for all the black people, she still was taken back by it. And here's an example of racial differences with a photo from one of the scenes. Here, one of the main characters, who goes by the name of April Hernandez, says to Miss Gruelle, "White people always want their respect like they deserve it for free." And you can see here that in the movie, white people are considered the people who demand respect without earning it, as opposed to minorities, which she is, that have to work for literally everything. Toast for change. Because these students spent so much time together in the classroom, they were able to grow and learn together. Learn from the teacher, but also learn from each other and each other's experiences. From their usual hangouts with their own cliques, soon they learned it was okay to hang out together outside the classroom, no matter how many looks they might get from their closer friends. The freedom riders learned race should never be a factor. And that's about it, guys. I hope you enjoyed watching this. Thank you for watching, and I hope that you guys feel a sense to watch this movie. Thank you.